Hello. Thank you for joining us on another podcast and recording from Team 805 Real Estate. You can see that my guest is Kalila Heller with Assisted Living Connections. A brief introduction for you in case you don't know Kalila yet. Along with her partner, Tammy Podell, they started Assisted Living Connections in 2011. Their team guides seniors and their families to find the right living situation. They have an expertise on all senior living locations, including independent living communities, assisted living facilities, memory care, boarding care, and skilled nursing. Experts in this area. From personal experience, Kalila and her team helped my family find an assisted living facility for my mom. And then as the years went on and when it was needed, she helped us through a crisis and getting her into memory care. So she is absolutely an expert in her field and a wonderful human being. Please help me welcome Kalila Heller.
Thank you so much for that great introduction, Jeff. I really appreciate it. I'm
You
so
got it.
appreciate being able to be on your podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And the introduction comes from the heart. You've been so helpful to my family and in mutual connections that we have as well.
We love helping families navigate this whole senior care and senior living and all the questions that come up when people are usually thrust into this role of having to take care of someone.
Exactly. It's one of my questions was, and I may have even taken it out as, how do you plan for this? But I'm sure we'll end up speaking about planning, but a lot of the times you don't have as long a window as you end up thinking. So to transition into what we are going to talk about, how does a senior living advisor such as you and your team help families? When does someone need to call you?
Well, we love it when people call us earlier, although people every day call us in crisis. I mean, a typical call we get is mom fell. She's been living independently. She's been doing great, but she broke her hip. Now she's in the hospital. They're giving her surgery. Then they're going to send her to a rehab after surgery, but she's not going to be able to come home. What are we going to do? And how are we going to pay for it? So we love when families call us earlier and say, mom is aging, and we're noticing she's forgetting things and she's got all these dents in her car. And we've had a couple incidents where, she got lost in the parking lot and couldn't find her car, although all of us do that.
Right.
But their red flags start raising. We love when people call us earlier so we can start to explore, what kind of care does your mom need right now as she transitions, as she gets older, for mom or dad, for couples, often for spouses. And often that starts with care in the home. We'll refer families to bring in some home caregivers that are licensed, bonded, and insured. And we like to educate families about doing that, how you bring people in who are licensed, bonded, and insured for home care. So my team, we have a team of 6 people. We focus on Ventura County and Los Angeles County, but we have people who do what we do, help people find senior living and senior care around the US. And our services are free. We know every senior living community, large and small, in those areas, really West LA County and Ventura County. And like I said, when people call us, we help them navigate. How are we going to pay for this? What about veterans benefits? Can mom just stay home and we'll just hire somebody off Craigslist? So we kind of go over the whole scope of things and guide families through what to do next. And we are licensed with the state of California as administrators for assisted living. That's our background, besides the many years of taking care of families and our own mothers who live in assisted living. So that's kind of a broad overview. We're a little bit like if you had a sister who really knew everything about senior living and was going to help guide you through the process. or a little like a social worker and a real estate agent for senior living.
Before I get to my next question, I do want to point out to our listeners that we're not talking about care in the home. We are talking about assisted living options.
Yeah.
Before we do, just want to make sure, public service announcement, if you're going to be hiring somebody to come to your home and to stay with your parent or for yourself, please make sure they're licensed, or else you could be opening up the enormous can of worms. And I think we can leave it at that. You need to get somebody licensed. Can you please describe the options available for seniors, starting from independent care and that whole gamut?
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk about options available and what the costs are for Southern California. They're going to be similar around the United States, but some areas it's really tied to the cost of real estate. So if you're in Oklahoma, it's probably going to be less. So if someone's independent, sometimes seniors, maybe they're just not driving anymore, or they're home and they're lonely and bored, or they just don't want to cook anymore. There's independent living communities where you move in, you get your apartment, they provide all your meals, transportation, tons of activities, games, movies, music, and care is available if needed. But those independent locations, they're kind of like a cruise ship on land. You can get a studio apartment, probably the least expensive, might be around $3,200 a month. But that covers everything. It doesn't cover care, but it covers all your costs. There shouldn't be anything else you need to buy other than like clothing or gifts for someone, or if you want to go out to a restaurant. As people need care, those locations can offer some care on site, like helping with people with bathing or dressing. You pay additional for that. And when you get into assisted living, again, you can be there in an assisted living community. These are large communities, typically about 100 people. They're not nursing homes. Nursing homes are really called skilled nursing facilities now. Those are the rehab places. Medicare pays up to 100 days a year. That's where you go to recover from that broken hip or from an infection, but you don't live there. Assisted living communities, you can move in independent, and I would say pricing runs very lowest would be $3,500 for a studio apartment, and a 1-bedroom might start at like $4,500 or $5,000. And then care is usually on top of that. That care could be $350 a month. It could be $1,500 a month. It depends on how much care people need.
And that's all on a la carte basis.
The care is a la carte. Yeah, just so that it can really be geared to what a person's needing. And so when a family calls us, we're going to help. We do a whole intake with them. We're going to help determine, what's the best fit. Is this an independent place? Maybe they need more help. Maybe they need to be in assisted living. Maybe they've stayed at home a long time now. They're really declined. They're in a wheelchair. They need help with everything. Sometimes a better option might be a memory care or a residential care home. So there's a wide range of options. If people are more social and they're walking around and they're going to make friends and go to the movies and events, then we want to look at a large assisted living. But if someone is, again, more declined, more towards the end of their life, or has a lot of memory loss, we might look at a small assisted living where these are single family homes. They're called boarding cares or 6 beds. They're licensed with the state as the same licensing as a large location that would have like 100 residents. These small locations, just 6 residents, 2 caregivers plus an owner. So it's a very high level of care through the end of life. They can do everything for someone through the end of life. And it's a very loving environment. And our specialty is to know there are hundreds and hundreds of these residential care homes just in Ventura County and West LA County. So our specialty is know every single one. Well, out of hundreds and hundreds, maybe we have 300, okay? So we can help families gear, what's the right one? Maybe mom is has memory loss, reverting to her first language. Maybe she speaks Lithuanian. Well, there's only one place in Ventura County speaks Lithuanian, or maybe she speaks Spanish now. Or maybe dad wants to bring his little dog. We'll take his dog. We're going to look at a lot of different factors for any family, whether they're looking at independent living, assisted living, memory care, or residential care, and narrow down all their choices. Those residential care homes, by the way, that are just 6 people living in a home, 6 seniors with 2 owners, 2 caregivers and an owner. Those prices run for a shared room between 3,800 to 5,500. And that's everything all in, all the care. And private rooms tend to run about 5,000 to, I have very nice places that are $13,000 a month. So there's a big range. So that's what our job is to do, is narrow down all those options and then take our clients on tours of the best places so they can choose. And we can give them the background on each place and what are the caregivers like and the residents like, and what's our history with our clients on these locations.
And I can personally vouch for your expertise. I've seen you work with both my family and with mutual clients, where what's so amazing about what you do, what your company does, the service that you offer is, if somebody doesn't work with you, how do they can't possibly have the comfort knowing that they've evaluated a lot of different options and a lot of different providers and a lot of different services. And through all of that evaluation, they've narrowed down to the right one. They may call 2 or 3 and go, oh, all right, well, this is the best that I found, and I don't know what else to do. Where
Yeah.
you do have that expertise, like you said, like a real estate agent finding a home for a client. When they come to you, you offer the entire array, not only of assisted living, all of the assisted living facilities, but like you also mentioned, memory care, independent care, and the residential care. So the family's so much better served by having you help them. So it's
Right. And we feel like it's really our privilege to help families with this. The analogy I use is certainly is a real estate analogy. If you move to a new city, say you're deciding to move to, well, we won't say Florida with all these hurricanes coming in, but maybe you're going to move into Kansas. If you move to a new city and you don't know any of the neighborhoods, are you going to go buy a home set without a real estate agent who really knows the areas and can direct you? Well, that's what we do. We're going to look at 100 or 50 places and narrow down all your choices to, here's the top 5. Let's go tour these top 3. So it's really narrowed down to, and my clients typically within 2 hours on a tour with me, they know. They'll go, oh, that's it. It's this place, or it's between these 2 places. And then I'll say, okay, now bring mom back. Say, often I'm touring with the kids, with the baby boomers for their parents. Say, bring mom back for lunch. Let her meet other people. Let her walk around the community and see it and get a feel for it. If possible, if you have the time, you want to do that. So ideally, if mom can make a choice, you let her make the choice, but you've narrowed down her choices. Because typically people are 85 plus who are moving into these communities. The whole population is aging. Every day, we have, 11,000 people turning 65. And the fastest growing part of our population is 85 plus. And the statistics from Department of Health and Human Services are 70% of people over age 65 will need long-term care. That's what we're talking about. For women, it averages 4 years. For men, it averages 2.5 years of long-term care. So you got to be ready.
So while we're on that subject, can you describe, not necessarily the difference between home care and assisted living, what are some things people should be keeping in mind when they're trying to figure out what the right thing to do is for their family? Because I would imagine the natural instinct is, I want to age at home. I want to stay here. I know where everything is. I know where the shopping is and where everything in the house. I just want to stay here. What are some things that the individual and the family should be thinking about?
That's a great question because that is what people want. They want to stay in their home. And one thing though, we do assure people that these, again, these are not nursing homes that we're taking you to. These are really, this is a really nice quality of life, these large assisted livings. But when you're staying at home, you want to consider, okay, is the home safe? Do you need to go in and make renovations to make the home safer? Um, uh, how many hours a day do you need of having someone come into your home? Are you comfortable with that? Someone being in your home, is that enough socialization for you? For some people, it's going to be okay. Or maybe they get a home caregiver who can take them to the senior center to do activities, take them to the grocery store and go grocery shopping. But those home caregivers are 35 to 40 an hour for licensed and bonded and insured.
That
And
adds up.
that adds up really quickly. So once you go over 4 hours a day, assisted living starts looking pretty darn good because it's going to be less expensive than having a caregiver come into your home. And there's a lot less that you have to manage with a caregiver coming into your home.
That's so
So that,
fascinating. Yeah, that I'm sorry, I just cut you off.
no, go.
Fascinating that assisted living can be so much less expensive than in-home care. And then with in-home care, you still have maintenance of the house, you're still cooking meals, you're still cleaning, and the social aspect as well. Like when before my mom went to assisted living, one of her best friends, quote unquote, was the caregiver. I said,
Yeah.
Mom, so happy that you like the caregiver. She's not your best friend. You have other friends. So, the social aspect and the ability to socialize so easily and also to have meals with other people. So,
That's really big, Jeff, because
so
what we
important.
found during COVID, when people were isolated, we saw a huge increase in depression and increase in memory loss because people were isolated and didn't, especially seniors, didn't have the socialization. That's a big piece. In a good assisted living, I mean, the minimum is people are going to the dining room for meals. So at least they're having meals, healthy meals with other people to socialize, but they have a lot of opportunity to have all sorts of things that interest them, to keep them more active, engaged. And that's one way you prevent memory loss. And that's very well known is through socialization. And also wearing your hearing aids if you have hearing loss, because there's a lot of hearing loss. If people don't, if they can't hear, there's a lot of memory loss. It's hard to get people to wear their hearing aids.
Shaking my head because my mom, we could not get her to wear her hearing aids, and we don't need to go into that, but
Mhm.
really relates what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're,
Oh yeah,
we're
please.
counseling families about, like I said, all different kinds of aspects, like how are we going to pay for it? Okay. Medicare is just your hospital visits, skilled nursing short-term stay, doctor's visits. That's Medicare. That's your government health plan. Okay. Medicaid or Medi-Cal, which is California's name for it, that is just for people who have low income. They can have resources, they can have an expensive home and other assets, but their income, their monthly income coming in has to be very low to qualify for Medi-Cal. And there is one small program that helps pay for assisted living. It's called Assisted Living Waiver. Right now, there's a freeze on that program in California. You can't even enroll in it until next March 2025. And this year, when you were able to enroll, the wait list to get into it was a year. So it's not like you just walk into an assisted living and go, okay, mom's down to 1,500 Social Security, and is the government going to pay for it? Not so easy.
So that's a California state program as opposed to insurance that somebody could buy? What you're
Well, that's the Medi-Cal program
okay.
is assisted living waiver is, and other states have different kind of Medi-Cal Medicaid programs. Or you can, another way to pay for assisted living is we love it when people buy long-term care insurance. That will pay for either your care in your home or assisted living. So the ways to pay for this care as you age are one, your private resources, your Social Security, two, long-term care insurance. And they have great long-term care insurance hybrids now, long-term care life insurance hybrids. Veterans benefits, there's a limited program for people who served in the war during wartime that we help people get. reverse mortgage is one way some people can pay. If someone lives in the house, the other person can, let's say a spouse, and I often have this. The woman calls, she's 85. Her husband has Parkinson's and dementia. He weighs 220 pounds. When he falls down, she cannot get him up. And she just can't care for him, even though she has care in the home. It's too much and too stressful because she's 81. So if there are limited resources, she could get a reverse mortgage and use that money towards paying for her husband's care. So I know Jeff is awesome at this, helping people with these resources. And that's something we're exploring with people every single day. Sometimes they have to sell the family home. A lot of my families have to sell the family home in order to pay for their parents' care. But they save that money. That's a
Right.
major part of their assets. And you can't wait for your parents to go into a Medicaid program that takes a years, or 2 years to get into.
No, definitely not. What are the most common fears or concerns you get from either the individual that is considering making that move or the families that are either living in the area or living out? And even living in the area, I don't know that it matters too much because someone's going to have their own family, someone's going to have a job. So they still need to think about how to care for their parent. What are some of the common fears and concerns that you come across?
Number one, I always encourage people to have your loved one be close to you. If you live in Oklahoma and you're not moving out here to California, move mom or dad or your sister or brother close to you, because there's always a lot to manage, even if they do live in assisted living. Fears are, well, they're going to be abused. That's why you use a local placement agent, because our services are free. We are paid a fee by the communities after someone moves in. It's a placement fee. We negotiate the best rates. So we can tell you the background on those places. And we just don't have that happening where there's abuse happening with seniors at the places that we move people to. But that is a fear. A fear is that mom won't be able to adjust. There's no way she can make it from her home. She wants to stay at home. How's she ever going to adjust to this kind of life? Well, you'd be surprised. Very few people call up their daughter and say, okay, I'm ready to move to assisted living now. You
Exactly.
know, I, take away my driver's license. People
Please.
don't do that.
Right.
But you'd be surprised. I just moved this woman, this brilliant woman who was an astrophysicist. Okay. And she taught at college level. And she thought some people with memory loss think they're fine. They don't think anything's wrong, but there were so many red flags. She was so unsafe being at home, burning things on the stove, walking out of the house in the middle of the night, police having to bring her back. So her daughters moved her to a memory care, and we were really worried, but we set her up to be able to teach astronomy classes at the memory care because she had all her charts and everything. And when I went to visit her, she hadn't started teaching yet, but she had all her teaching materials. She's working on getting them together to teach classes. And she said, oh, these people are so nice to me. And I mean, the daughters, I worked with the two daughters and an aunt. They were sure that mom was going to just hate it. She loves it. She
Uh,
loves it because the staff knew how to transition her and help her. And that's common wherever someone moves, even if they're very independent, the staff is going to help you meet people who have common interests and find activities that you enjoy doing or outings. So we have a lot of resources we put into place to help families with this transition, to ease it and make it gentle and, compassionate.
you shared something that may be easy to overlook. I did at one time. My parents were living in Leisure Village in Orange County, and my dad's best friend, his wife passed, and then his children moved him up to the LA area into assisted living. At the time, when my parents were both alive, I was thinking how cruel this is, and you're taking this man away from his friends and what he knows. And after my dad passed, and my mom, she stayed there a couple more years, but when she needed to get assisted living, we moved her up to LA because that was near me and near my two sisters.
Uh-huh.
And that is so important because how do you manage first of all, it's always good. First, you want to visit anyway. That's one
Right.
thing. And the more often you visit, just by human nature, you're probably going to get a little bit better care for your parent anyway.
Yes, I agree.
It's such fantastic advice. I hope people hear that it's better to move them close to where your life is. It'll be better for everybody involved. So thank you for
Yep.
sharing that.
And we specifically search out agents who work like us, who are licensed with the local authorities, who know every place and who tour, who actually go on tour with their clients. So, you know, if you're going to move to another state, we can help you find that. Or if it's, certainly if it's in California. My mom had a stroke when she was only 74, and she had minor memory loss from that. And about 3 years later, when she couldn't drive, she was social. She wanted to move to assisted living. So she did. Within 6 months, she met the sweetest guy. We just loved him. And they fell in love. He had a little memory loss also. They wanted to share an apartment. We said, hey, you guys got to know each other a little better before we just move you in together and share rent. But after about 9 months, they moved in together and they had a whole love affair for 3 years.
Oh.
It's really beautiful. And there's a lot of romance going on in assisted living. A lot of people are moving in who are single and they want companionship.
You're parenting the parent. That's funny.
Yeah.
For families considering hiring a senior placement service like yours, what would you say are the most important things, maybe like the most important piece of advice that you can give to those families?
Well, number one, you don't have to hire us. Our services are free. You want to look for someone who's local. Look for someone who's involved with your maybe local senior nonprofit agency. Like I'm on the board of directors for Senior Concerns, who's our big nonprofit in the area where I live in Thousand Oaks, California. Look for, again, someone who tours, someone who is really involved. And you know, you can look on Yelp and Google. So my company has over 100 reviews on Yelp and on Google,
Oh
5-star
my goodness.
reviews on
Wow.
each of
Wow.
them. So you can look and see what all our clients are saying about each of the senior advisors on my team. That, you know, and when you see that many, you know, it's not like it's manufactured. You can
Right.
tell it's real by because people are telling you their stories. So that's another thing. And, you know, you can also, of course, you've got trusted resources. You've got awesome real estate agents like Jeff. You've got your elder law attorney or your financial advisor, you know, if they know local agents, if you're not in this area, but certainly in California, I'll give you people who are perfect for wherever you live. And you can tell when you talk with someone, you know, if we are good agents, we're not pushy, we're really busy. We don't have to be pushy, you know, and we're going to work on your timeline, but we're also going to notify you, hey, there's some red flags here. I don't think your mom should be home. Bring care into the home right now while we go out and look at assisted living, if that's what we're doing, because it doesn't sound to me like your mom should be home alone at night anymore. So we'll give you those kind of resources.
And you know, I can definitely vouch that not only that you and Tammy, I mean, like really experts. It's not like, hey, this is a fun thing to do. You guys are experts. You know the area, you know the facilities, you care about people, and like you said, not pushy whatsoever. So you guys provide you and your company provide such a valuable resource to our community.
You know, and there's really no downside to calling us. Like I've had people they'll call Ventura County Ombudsman. Okay, that's a free service. And they call on all the assisted livings regularly, but they give you a list of 50 places. They can't refer you any one place. I mean, that's not helpful. Or you talk to your neighbor and they go, oh yeah, my mom went to this place. It was great. Well, that was 3 or 4 years ago. How do we know that's still a good place? And because we track stuff like there's lots of management changes, or let's say year over year, what's the increase in the rent? So it used to be increases in rent was cost of living 3 to 5%. But since COVID, we've seen the increases in rent, I would say on average it's 7 to 10%. I have one community that raised it 17%, their rent increase.
Wow.
So that's something we help families also
Tremendous. Yeah.
find out about.
Wow.
And it's something you have to ask. What over the past 3 years, what has been your average rent increase? Because we're helping families figure out what can we afford? And what I talk about is here's the short-term plan, here's the long-term plan. Let's say you're worried about mom or dad running out of money and just having Social Security. That's it. Okay, so short term, it looks like you have enough for dad can move to this great assisted living and be really social. But as his care needs increase and you see him running out of money, we will help you figure out what to do and how to get into a Medi-Cal program, a program that will help pay for assisted living. So we'll give you that whole scope and know that we're here, because a lot of our clients, like for example, my mom lived in big assisted livings for 8 years. Now she's in one of these small residential care homes and she's been there 5 years. She's actually an outlier. 13
Wow.
years in assisted
Wow.
living is a very long time. Most people don't live
Right.
that
My family's had the unique experience. The first time speaking with you, we were talking about selling the house and we had a little bit of planning time ahead. We found an assisted living for my mom. And the second time was the panic phone call on a Friday night during COVID in the holidays on a Friday night. Mom fell, broke her hip. Help!
long.
So obviously, if you can avoid that, you avoid that. What would be ideal timing for a family to reach out to you?
Well, ideally you reach out like 3 months before.
Okay.
If you have time, or even a month before you think you need to move mom or dad. Because usually these places don't have wait lists. Um, but ideally a few months before, if you have that luxury, or if you want to just explore it. Let's talk about cost. Tell me what mom's budget is. What are all the resources? Because it's like if you're going out to look for real estate, Jeff will tell you this. If you can buy $2 million home, he's not going to show you the homes that are 2 or 3 million. He's going to stay in your budget. Okay. We're the same way. We're not going to show you. There's plenty of very expensive high-end places where the one bedroom room apartments in these assisted livings, the new ones, are running 7,500. No, wait. The one bedrooms are running 10 to 12,000 a month. The studio apartments are 7,500, and that's no care. So there's plenty of very pricey places that we can, help you with. But if that's not your budget, we're gonna stick to what's affordable for you.
And gosh, unless somebody has an emergency, the 1 to 3 month lead time seems manageable and doable. It could even be if, as you mentioned, the child notices some dents in the car, or the parent falling, or just some things not working out, where it's not a panic, we got to get them out today.
Right.
That gives the family enough time for this to sink in, for them to speak with you. You give them the options, and they start talking. Do they want the 6 room environment? Do they want the bigger environment? And that way, it's not rushed, and it gives you more time to make recommendations for the family to consider what might be in their best interest.
Yeah, and think about it. A lot of people have to sell their house, so or rent it, but you still got to clean that house out. Ideally you move the parent out so that Jeff can stage the house so you can get more money, or do a whole remodel before he sells it. Um, but you got to think about that, because it's pretty tough. It's really overwhelming. You've got your own life, have your own kids, and all of a sudden you've got mom's 50 years of stuff in her house that you have to downsize, and you got to move mom, which is a big deal. Yeah, we do help people. We do get people from the hospital and skilled nursing, though, who have to move within a few days, and we can do that. And we have to, we can do that.
And I can vouch for that as well, because we had to move mom, and you found a great place for us. I think it was like 2 days. So You can do it. Whatever anybody throws at you, you can do it.
Yeah.
What
But I
are
mean, Jeff would say, tell you that it's so nice if you've got a little more time and you can really think it through. Like, what are we going to do with this house?
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, if somebody has a house that they own that they have to sell to be able to, for you to have time locating something for somebody as opposed to more of a panic, it's certainly better, to have that time.
Yeah, because ideally, I want people to go out with us. They're going to pick their top two and then go back. Like I said, take mom for lunch.
Exactly.
You know, take her to an activity there.
It's great advice, the lunch part, because if somebody at a facility is going to sell you on something, which they probably won't because you're going to be there and you know them, you can also observe, how was the service at lunch? How was the food? How were the residents interacting? Were
Mm.
they all friendly and saying hi? Were they all keeping to themselves? Are there people sitting in the library reading and talking? Is it social? Is it not? So you can get a lot of information, not only walking in, having food, and seeing how it was, but there's a lot going on that the family and the individual can observe and experience and see if it feels like a good fit.
Yeah, I love it when people can go at different times of day too. So maybe our tour, sometimes we'll do a tour and then that family will stay for lunch. Then they come back the next time, later in the day, or early in the morning when the exercise classes are going on, just to get that feeling. Because there's a lot of, we're looking at price, we're looking at location, we're looking at services, but there's a lot of it that's just, there's an emotional, gut feeling. Is this the right place for mom? Some places I walk through, you've got residents who are so happy and they'll stop and they'll say, "Oh, I love this place. Are you thinking of moving here? Oh, do you have a dog? I have a little dog. We could take our dogs walking." They just start talking and that's when it's really that's the best feeling is when you have happy residents talking to you.
You mentioned what has to be a fantastic, uh, rewarding experience for you and the individual when you were mentioning the woman who was an astrophysicist and you arranged for her to teach classes at the facility. What are like one or two that, top of mind, other than this one, that was a great success story, a feel good for the family? What can you share with people, please?
Um, well, sometimes it's moving a couple out, and one of the people might be really doing pretty well, but the other one is having a lot of memory loss and it's just really hard to take care of. So they moved together. So I moved a couple to a community where she had the memory loss. He didn't have any, but he was having a lot of neuropathy and issues in his feet. And they were both in their 70s. They weren't that old. Um, they wanted a nice big 2-bedroom apartment with a lot of light because their home was beautiful. I met with them several times at their home. And we moved into a community where, she really got the care she needed and the supervision because her memory was declining pretty quickly. They brought their dog and the community helped them with walking the dog. He got involved and is teaching Bible study classes. And they're so happy there because he could really see, he goes, "I'm not going to be able to continue to take care of her." And now, after they've been there a year, she has actually moved into the memory care. So that's a secured area because she needed so much extra help and she was just lost. And so he visits her every day in the memory care. They're separate, but it really has worked out better because it's created less stress for him. And has a lot of friends at the community now. So that was a process of a number of months. They had to sell their house and downsize a big house. But I checked back with them shortly after they moved in, and then I checked back about 5 months later, and I've heard because I was concerned. It's like, oh, is this going to work? We got them the best place. They picked the best place, but there were so many factors there, and it's really I'm just so happy it's worked out, and they're both so settled in.
I'm sure you have a
Yeah.
lot of those
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah. A lot of stories.
Anything stand out that I did not ask you that you would like to share with our listeners?
Just know that, family members as they're aging, one, they really, if you can, and if you're younger, you really got to plan for for some kind of care. And if you can get a long-term care life insurance hybrid policy, you know, it can wipe out your whole estate. You may be fine until you're 85 or 90 or 95. People are living to be 100 now. But if you're having to spend 7 or 10 or 15,000 a month for your care, or if you have care in the home, 24/7 round the clock care in the home is 25,000 a month right now. That will wipe out your estate. There will be nothing left for your heirs. And hopefully you won't go through everything. So it's just to be planning for your estate and to know that if you've got parents or family members who don't have money now, you need to talk to us, because it's not like you can just walk in and get them a bed in an assisted living, or it's just not available
You
anywhere.
wouldn't
You have
want
to
it
be
anyway.
long
You
wait
want to have
lists.
that knowledge of what a good fit is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And to have the time that when we are looking at assisted living, that have the time to pick the right place.
so
It's preparing, we talk to our families, all of our families, about preparing. Get your estate plan. Get these. Nobody wants to talk about death and dying, but you got to get that stuff in place. Otherwise, it really leaves the family members with a lot of big
these
problems.
are all important things: estate planning, long-term care insurance, and we're not going to talk about that because that's not our wheelhouse. Though there are standalone plans for long-term care, and there are hybrid with life insurance. So you should definitely speak to somebody. Kalila and I have some wonderful contacts if you are interested in that. And speaking about contacts, what is the best way for somebody to get in touch with you?
Best way is to go to our website, which is www.assistedlivingconnections.com. And you can also call our 888 number. It's 888-800-1811. And myself or one of our team members will pick up the phone. We have 24/7 hour answering, and we're here to serve. And we feel very privileged to be able to serve families and try to take some of the stress out of their lives. And really to try to find for all seniors to have the best quality of life at the end of their life.
If you don't mind me saying, you do more than try, you actually do. So thank you, and thank you
Thank you,
for
Jeff.
what you do for our seniors and our community and what you've done for my family.
Thank you, Jeff. It's an
Yeah.
honor to get to talk to you and to talk to your listeners.
Well, thank you. All right. All set. I will
That was fun.
oh, awesome. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it would be. And it's been a while since you and I had the chance to do this. So glad to have you on again and expose you and your service to everybody that I know.
I so appreciate you taking the time and thinking of me.
Absolutely. All right.
All
Thanks.
right, have a good rest of your day.
Got it. I'll get the links out over to you.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.